We are back to continue our budget conversations. We have Scott Potter from the Water Department who is going to talk us through his budget request. But before I do that, I just want to give a quick shout out. I've got some Metro Council members in the audience who are joining us today. We have Council Member Bill Pridemore, who is in charge of the Metro Council budget process, Council Member Larry Hager, Council Member Russ Pulley, Council Member Tanika Vercher, sorry, and Council Member Fabian Bednay. And I think that's all we've got. And I'm going to give this over to Talia. She's going to kick us off, and then she'll turn it back to you.
Okay. Good afternoon. The Water Department provides drinking water, wastewater treatment, and stormwater management services within the county. They have a current operating budget of $235 million and 817 budgeted FTEs. They have not asked for any improvement requests in FY17.
So we're done.
So, I think Mr. Potter wanted to come and spend a few moments with you today, though.
Just to say hey. All right.
Just to say hey.
I like that.
We're all that
So
same.
I'm passing it on to Mr. Potter to say hey.
And Scott, take a minute. If you've got the folks who are with you today, take a minute and introduce.
First, introduce John Honeysucker. John?
He's not here.
No, he's outside. Okay. Well, he was here.
He was here. I saw him.
And then Tony Niemeyer, the CFO
Yep.
for Metro Water. I will start with our present financial position. We're under budget on expense, and we're slightly over budget on revenue, and I'm happy about that. We're seeing a little bit of revenue
You should
growth.
be thrilled about
I am
that.
thrilled about that. We're not seeing the revenue growth due to the people moving to Nashville as one might expect, and I think that's because a lot of folks take a lot of pride in conservation, which is a good thing.
Yep.
Our water production has been flat in about 3 to 4 years, really. It's
Okay.
After 2010, when we asked people to conserve, I think people got into the habit of doing that, and that's made production flat. We've also been pretty successful in our leak detection and correction program, so that's knocked down production too. But for this fiscal year, I think we're in pretty good shape financially. Going into 2017, as the mayor said, we're not requesting an increase in our budget, and I think that's due to a lot of hard work by the men and women at Metro Water. We're aggressive in our cost control. Most notably, we're working really hard on reducing our electrical expenses, because really it's about a $20 million line item in our budget, and any electrical expense we can reduce, I think, it not only pays for itself in that fiscal year, but it carries on. We're doing a lot of work at the plants to, we call it energy optimization, and we've had real success at Dry Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant, which has been kind of the pilot platform for that program. We've got some documented and provable electrical reductions that we're going to carry on into the future.
Okay.
So we're not requesting any changes on the number of employees. I think we're in a good position in that. We are losing a lot of really qualified people to retirement, and that's I think it's good for the employee because they're concluding a very successful career. But from our perspective, a lot of experience and dedication is going to retirement as well.
So you've got 817 FTEs, but how many of those are open positions at the moment?
I'd say around 50 to 60.
50 to 60.
And we're aggressively working with Metro HR to hire people.
Okay.
But as we hire people are retiring. So
Okay.
we're it's not a zero-sum game, but
Right.
but it's hard to get ahead.
Okay.
But the people we're hiring, I'm really impressed with, especially the younger folks we're bringing in. A lot of idealism, a lot of commitment, and a lot of hard work. So I think our future is very sound. But in our business, it takes a little while to get fully qualified in what you're doing. So it's going to be a process to get people trained up. I mean, you can't take someone who has 40 years of experience and train them. They have to assume that wisdom over the course of a career.
And Scott, let me just stop you for a second because I want to give a quick shout out to all of the men and women who work in the water department and how grateful we are. I started this budget process with the kickoff saying that one of the things that we are absolutely committed to in this budget process is to make sure that we recognize our Metro employees and making sure that they are part of this very important process. And so tell them thank you, and I know that they do great work. I'd love it that I get to turn on the tap and drink water, and I do it every day, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I work with a lot of really cool people.
You do.
It's a privilege. On the revenue side, we're projecting $213 million. Generally speaking, Tony is conservative in his estimates on revenue because
He probably gets that from Talia.
You know, I don't think he wants to miss. He doesn't want to miss high, but revenues are predictable. You know, we're not going to have a position where we have a dramatic reduction in revenue because it's pretty predictable. So 213. In the capital spending plan for next year, the overall plan is $195 million, and $109 million of that is the Clean Water Nashville program, which is a result of the consent decree that we agreed to with the Department of Justice. That work has proven to be very successful. We've got one measurement criteria that we use, which is the amount of gallons of overflow divided by 100 miles of pipe. And that number has fallen below 3.0. And when this program began, it was upwards of 10. And that it stays around 3 and 4 consistently. We've had, perfect example, the Whites Creek wastewater treatment plant pump station. It came online last year, and since it did, we haven't had a single overflow. Money well invested, money well spent. That program is expensive, but I think the money is proving to be well used, and we can back that up with data. On the water side, we're spending $49 million presently on projects, and next year we've got some pretty significant projects I want to brief the mayor about on the water side. One is a 60-inch transmission line project that'll be in the Elm Hill Pike neighborhood. That'll be a redundant transmission main for the eastern part of the county.
And you know, let's just talk about the infrastructure and the work that you all are doing across the county. We had Public Works in here a few minutes ago, and one of the conversations that we were having had to do with the fact that we have lots of different folks who are drilling down into our infrastructure.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know that we had a water main break over the weekend.
We did.
With one of those. So when we're going out and doing this, you know, what do you see as some of those opportunities and challenges?
Well, as Nashville booms, there is a lot of people digging holes in the ground. And one of the difficulties in buried infrastructure is knowing exactly where it is and missing it when you're digging. So Mark and I have exchanged several emails recently about how we're going to increase his ability to help us find our stuff and monitor when people are digging around significant infrastructure.
So his proposal, because he's got some a request that would require some FTEs, but those FTEs would also benefit you because those eyes can be on our entire infrastructure.
Yes, ma'am. And I offered to participate in that with Mark.
Okay, great.
Because I think it is in our interest, and I don't think he should assume the entire burden of paying for it.
Good. Thank you.
We're doing a significant project along Jefferson Street. That's a combined water and stormwater project. That'll be a $6.3 million project that we're going to do. And we concluded, we're concluding next month a project in Lakewood, which was a $11 million project that it almost completely reestablished their water and wastewater and stormwater infrastructure.
And Scott, talk about that for a second, because I think the way you all looked at that project and how you costed it out on the impact was very innovative. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of time, but I think just for the viewers at home, talk about how you looked at the value of that project and what that meant to taxpayers in Davidson County.
Well, it was a unique project in that it was essentially a neighborhood, more of a beyond neighborhood, kind of a larger area infrastructure renewal project. It wasn't just replacing water lines, it was all three. So we tried, I think quite successfully, to quantify the benefit to not only the neighborhood and the city of Lakewood and the city of Nashville, but the entire county. In that a lot of money was invested that produced a lot of additional revenue for a lot of additional businesses. If you think about putting a stick of pipe in the ground, it has to be transported, it has to be designed to go in, you have to have labor, obviously, you have to have construction equipment, you have to have food. There's a whole lot of things that are ancillary to the project directly that pay a lot of benefit economically to the county. There's also...
And you were measuring the economics, but you also were measuring a couple of other components.
There's a social component in that there's brand new infrastructure.
Right.
It's not legend, but
Jobs.
actually there was a person who had a sewer manhole in her living room from way back in the day when the original system was built. It's
amazing.
So I don't know how you quantify getting rid of that, but I think there's value in that.
I think so.
And there's also an environmental benefit to it. You don't have overflows. You have better control of stormwater. So the triple bottom line approach, it demonstrated much more value to the county than just $11 million of investment. And one of the things we did during that process was remain as conservative as we could, because when we originally began the analysis, the numbers were, to be honest with the mayor, somewhat unbelievable because they were so beneficial. So we even got more conservative in our estimates. But I'll shout it from the treetops that infrastructure renewal is good from a jobs perspective for the county.
Yep.
And I'm speaking of water and sewer, obviously, but sidewalks, roads,
Absolutely.
bridges, infrastructure renewal provides for a lot of economic activity.
And if I were to go on your website, could I actually see that cost-benefit analysis? And
I'll make sure it's there.
I mean, I want other people to see it.
Yes,
I think
ma'am.
it's really helpful.
I'm not sure it's posted on our website,
Okay.
but
I think y'all should put it out there.
We'll get that up
Okay.
today.
Good.
On the stormwater side, the budget remains consistent with its last 5 years because the revenue stream is consistent and very predictable. The expense side is driven by revenue and debt service. We are completing our 5-year audit of the program that was required by the enabling legislation once we established the stormwater fee. And we've seen real success in that program. A lot of very, very good stormwater projects. A good example, last year we did 110 we call C projects, which are generally maintenance projects, and we spend $10 million a year on capital, building new stormwater infrastructure. As the mayor knows, and as our council members in the room know, that stormwater is topic, if it's not topic 1, it's topic 1A to most of their constituency.
Yep.
So we could do a whole lot more work in the stormwater side. I think we're ready to do that.
Okay.
And I think that's a discussion that I'd like to have with the mayor in the next budget cycle, perhaps, because I think that may be appropriate.
Okay.
Now talk a little bit about green infrastructure and the environment. One of the things that I think we all pride ourselves on at the water department is we're tree huggers, and we're proud of it. So we do a lot of work that I think improves quality of life, not just producing good drinking water. And one of the things to note is that in the stormwater program, we spend about $800,000 a year on street sweeping. And
I'm sorry, on what?
street sweeping.
Right.
So one of the things...
So that you are doing that, not Public Works?
That's correct. It's part of our permit. So as an example, last year we swept 9 million pounds of debris out
And
of the
that
road.
keeps that out of my storm drain and out of my storm sewer?
If we hadn't swept it, it would have ended up in the Cumberland River because in the receiving stream, there's nowhere else for it to go. And over the course of the program, we've collected 58 million pounds of trash. So
Wow.
I think for an $800,000 investment, that's a good return. It keeps us compliant with our permit, obviously, but it also keeps trash out of the streams. I did mention the energy management system. We've got quantified data that shows savings. Really, one of our focuses that's left on cost control is electricity. Chemical costs are fixed. Labor costs are fixed. Electricity is what we've got left to really manage, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. We use a lot of electricity. We compress a lot of air, and it's expensive to pump water over hill and over dale like we do, but we work pretty hard at trying to reduce those expenses. We work pretty closely with all of our partners in the the emergency response business, especially OEM, but there are other partners that I want to mention that work really closely with us, most notably Planning Department. The Planning Department and their GIS system is critical to what we do.
Okay,
And,
tell me why.
Well, because it provides accurate data from which to make decisions. And they've got the most qualified people, I think, in the business doing that for us and for the county as a whole, not just us. But without their expertise and us working together, I don't think we'd have the Nashville SAFE program as an example, because using their data and their expertise, we're able to predict what will happen during heavy rain events.
Right, which is pretty amazing. I've been over there to see that. It's incredible.
Thank you. We work with the U.S. Geological Survey, Corps of Engineers, the Weather Service. We have a really, really good relationship with the Weather Service. They brief us, not just us, but they brief the region every Monday about what to expect, and if there's anything significant coming up, they'll have an additional briefing. So that all results in a really good storm monitoring system and a flood reaction system. So we're not being purely reactionary. We're able to anticipate what's going to happen.
And I'll let Doug know that you gave him a shout out.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
I'm sure Mr. Sloan is watching.
I'm all about Doug Sloan. We work really closely with the Cumberland River Compact.
Yep.
Their Adopt a Stream program. We work with them in a partnership. We also work with them on rain gardens throughout Nashville. We've got several rain gardens at Metro schools that are not only demonstration projects, but they actually work. They collect the runoff on the schools, clean it, and then discharge it back into the environment. So we're in Metro schools almost daily. Julie Berbeglia that works for us, she's
great.
Yes, she is great. She's in the schools at least 4 days a week, talking to students about water in all of its forms. We have one PIP that we're working with Public Works on, the Community Beautification Program, and that we look forward to that.
Can't talk about PIP.
Can't preview you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll take that back.
It's okay. You can take it back. It's
I'll take it back.
It's coming.
It's Monday.
But I'm excited about it.
Sorry.
I'm excited about it, Scott. It's all right.
Okay. Well, and I want to close with our most significant, I think, accomplishment this year is our GOAT project.
Love the goats.
It's we joke about it, but
No, I'm actually.
it was great.
I went over there and found them a couple weeks ago because I wanted to actually see them in action. And I was over there recently to see how much they've cleared. It's incredible.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
It's
Are they
funny.
still there?
No, they've completed their work, and they'll be back in 6 months. And
Is there other places?
These rotating goats?
Yeah.
well, they are. They're in big demand.
Are there other places that we should be using the GOAT model?
We're going to use it at, we have a big campus on Lebanon Road that we're going to use
Okay.
the goats to mow, and we're looking to use them wherever we can.
Oh, I love
It's
the
just
innovation of
this. It's a good solution, and it's also much more inexpensive.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of cool.
I agree on all fronts.
But that kind of concludes my remarks, Mayor. So
Great.
Any questions?
Great. Talia, any questions?
I am in good shape.
Rich, any questions? No?
Appreciate it.
We really appreciate all you do. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
y'all.
You bet. Thanks.